Thanks everyone for joining us this morning for the CALS Comm workshop, where we're going to hear about how to use Canva to its full potential. And we have Leanne Vincent, I should have practiced that before, and Adrienne Clark leading the charge today. A little bit about each of them. I'm trying to change up the intros so that people learn a little bit more about our presenters. So Leanne is a junior graphic designer, and in addition to working for CALS Communication, Leanne is also pursuing her master's in graphic design at NC State. Go Pack. Something that she is interested in, a good gardening tip, is she recommends to save water from washing your rice and use it in water plants. It helps the plant. It's got a lot of benefits. And a bucket list item, Leanne would like to visit every inhabited Greek island someday. There's only 221 more to go. So Leanne, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how many there are altogether. And then Adrienne is our social media specialist. She handles both the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences and Extension. Outside of social media, Adrienne has a writing and photography background. She uses TikTok, Instagrams, and blogs like socialmediatoday.com to stay updated with trends. You could create a digital cookbook, or she hopes to, on a bucket list, create a digital cookbook or start a cooking blog or vlog. And she lives in Garner with her husband and 18-month-old son. Thanks everybody for joining us today on this CALS Comm workshop, and they're gonna take it over.
Hi everybody, I'm gonna do the favorite activity of figuring out screen share really quickly, getting this presentation started. So just bear with me for a couple of seconds while I do all the Zoom buttons. Also, there are 227 inhabited Greek islands, so I've been to 6 of them. So yeah. All right. As you can see, I'm already using Canva this morning to do this presentation. So, all right, let's get going again. Here is us. It's me on the right, obviously. There's my email and also Adrienne's email if you ever need to contact us after this presentation. And obviously, this will be recorded and distributed after. So here's a brief rundown of what we're going to be covering today. First, we'll do like a Canva tour, kind of basic features if you haven't been in the program in a while, or if you've never been in the program, just kind of giving you 101 where everything is. Then we'll do an NC State brand review. This is kind of essential for, when we're making designs to make sure that those designs are on brand. And then some, creating tips, a little bit of demo to see, how you would make a couple of things like a video or an Instagram story. Some social media tips from Adrienne, and then some of our resources, and then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. All right, so jumping right into it, we're going to test Zoom right now and see if you can do this quick little 5-minute tour that just shows you how to use Canva, and let me know if you cannot hear this.
Select the type of design you want to make from the options. To design something with specific dimensions, click on Custom Size and then add them here. Click Create New Design to start. To use one of Canva's templates, click on the one you want from the template window here. You can edit each of the elements within the template by clicking on them and using the edit functions that appear above. Resize elements by clicking and dragging the corner boxes. Click and drag an element to move it. Canva provides a lot of photos you can use in your designs, either for free or for a royalty fee. Click on the Photos tab on the left here, and you'll see them appear in the window here. Find the one you want and click to add it onto your Canva. To add your own photo, click on the Upload button on the left. Choose your file and click Open. This will appear in your Uploads window here. Click to add it onto your design. You can also copy and paste an image straight onto your page. Once your photo is on your Canva, you can edit it using the edit tools above here. Canva offers millions of elements such as still and animated graphics. Click on the Elements tab on the left to pull up the window. Browse the elements and then click to add one onto the timeline. There are many free options. Canva allows you to edit the individual colors of an element. Click on the element and select one of its colors in the editing bar above to change it to the color scheme you want. Click and drag to move the element, or click and drag the corners to resize. Click on the Text tab on the left. Browse through the text designs. To find out what font a design is, hover over it and click on the three dots. Click on a text design to add it. You can also search for a particular font in the search bar here. Your text design will be broken down into separate elements. You can remove one by clicking and deleting. Replace the text by highlighting and typing. Change other formatting using the editing toolbar that appears above. Canva offers free and paid music. Click on the Music tab on the left. Browse the music on offer or use the search bar here. With the track highlighted on your design, you can edit it using the editing bar above. Canva also offers video. Click on the Video tab on the left. Browse the free and paid videos or use the search bar here. Click on a video to add it to your Canva page. Click on the video and trim or edit using the editing bar above. To add a YouTube video, click on the three dots on the left here, and then YouTube. Search and find your YouTube video and click to add it. To export a file, click on Download on the top right. Select the file type here. You can amend other export settings below. Click Download.
All right, so that was very quick, basics of Canva. Kind of a tour of what we're going to do today, just really, really fast. So there it is.
Can I ask a quick question? Will you
Sure.
tell us the difference between the paid versions of Canva and the free version? Like, is there
Sure.
a lot of benefits from participating in the paid version?
So most of the benefits are going to be obviously features. So a couple that are off the top of my head, resizing things. So we'll see that later in the tutorial, where you can take something that maybe you've made for an Instagram story, resize it to a Twitter post with all the same elements. That way you can just, like really easily not have to copy from design to design, or maybe you've, like gotten something from someone else's Canva or they've shared it with you. You can resize that. There's also, obviously in this video, they showed you like, things that Canva offers, templates, photos, videos. Those are limited access on the free version versus the paid version. So just, more assets, more resources. But one thing I will say is that as part of this presentation, part of this workshop, we have CALS has a Canva login, and we have the paid version that y'all will all get the login to. It's part of this presentation, and we'll also follow up after. So y'all are also welcome to use our Canva. I'll take you around our Canva so that you can, go in there if you don't have access to the paid version on your own. Any other questions related to that before we move on? Is that good? Does that answer everything? I'm going to take silence as yes.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Yeah. And, either type questions in the chat, as I'm happy to stop at any point. You can, chat Janine or chat me, or, raise your hand, and I will try to address as we move on. You definitely don't have to wait till the end, especially as we get into the demo parts of this. I want this to be more of a learning and less of a presentation. I'll hop out of some of the presentation parts soon so we can actually, get into the weeds of this stuff. But yeah, moving on from the 5-minute basic.
There's one other question. Will attendees be able to use the CALS Comm Canva for, forever, or is it just a short-term
I'm-
option?
As I know, forever, we don't have any plans to like deactivate the account or anything like that, or the login after this. So it should be good for use. And if all else fails, we would obviously let everyone know if we are making any changes to our account. But we just set it up for this presentation for everyone's use, so should be good to go. Shouldn't be going inactive anytime soon. And if you do experience that after this, feel free to shoot me an email and I can work that out on our end for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So that's a great segue to actually showing you around our Canva a little bit. So hopefully, yeah, cool. This is all pulling up. As you can see, our Canva is part of, we've got just like a normal, user account. It's got our account just, personally, and then it's also got our CALS Comm team here. The CALS Comm team is what I'm going to really focus on the tour part, just because that's where some of our features are. For example, our brand templates. Here's this presentation, and then some of the demos that we'll use today. And then also we've got, a brand kit. That's another pro feature, is that we've established our brand kit here, so that when you are making designs, we have our colors, we have our logos, the NC State icons, all that's in there already programmed, so that when you take a Canva template and try to make it, something for NC State use, it's all in there. So you don't have to upload, you don't have to worry about it. It's just there. So the main thing here is some of our brand templates. I see a hand is raised. If you want to go ahead and stop me, I can stop right here.
If our group already has a paid version, are we able to copy the brand kit into our paid version that we already have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's something pretty easy to set up. I don't know about directly just like taking a link and copying it. I can investigate that, but later on in the presentation, I'll show a link where you can meet one-on-one with me and we can figure it out together, or I can email you all the assets so that you can put it in your own Canva and set it up for paid version. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, of course. Yeah, so if you don't have a paid version, you're welcome to use ours because it's already in there. If you need help setting that up, I'm more than happy to set up both of these. So yes, here's some of the folders and assets that we offer. So there's some brand templates. The most helpful one, I think, is going to be the poster and the presentation, just because they're a little bit more customizable and a little bit more general, I guess is the word, because obviously your Instagram posts and your Facebook posts, your social media posts, those are all going to differ. So these two are just like a really jumping off point, and not necessarily something that you have to use every single time. In fact, I'd probably recommend not using them over and over again, because your viewers will be like, you're using the same template. So they're more of a jumping off point, but they're in here if you need them. I see another hand raised. I forgot who it was, but if you want to jump in, I'm happy to stop. Here's some of our folders. This is going to have, photo files, again, the icon set, social icons, just some assets for you. You're welcome to go into the CALS department and set up your own folder with your own, designs, photos, stuff like that. This is just a system that we've set up. That way, it can be a little bit more organized. Everyone can have their stuff in a place instead of floating all around on the home screen. I see Liz raised your hand. Is there something I can stop?
Do you have a folder for cooperative extension and branding for it?
Yeah, so we don't have that in here right now. It's definitely something that I can take a note of and go ahead and put in here. I haven't set up all of our departments, like I said, because our Canva is relatively new as well on the team sharing side. We wanted to make it accessible for everyone today, just generally. So I'll make a note of that and I'll go ahead and add those in. I can probably have that in there by the end of the day or by the time that this presentation is shared out. But if we don't have a folder for your department, you're welcome, again, once you get the login, to go in here and create a folder. All you do to do that is just click this little plus. And so we could, do that, create a folder, make sure it's obviously shared with the team, and it would be in there. The brand kit, a little bit more in depth. I can handle that end on our side if you don't want to learn how to set that up. But again, that would be a thing where you could tell me about that. So yeah, that's the basics of our Canva. Really, just again the folders and the brand templates are the biggest part of it. Again, you have to kind of do what I do, where if you're creating something on the homepage of CALS, you see we don't have everything created here. You would have to then share it with the team, but you don't have to do that every single time because this is, again, a Canva for everyone's use. So it's confusing. I'll promise I clarify a little bit more as I go on, but just wanted to show you how the back end of Canva is working. So I'll keep going on this. And here is the login information. You're welcome to log into it now. There's nothing that we're going to be doing where you're going to have to like pause and do anything in it. So it may be a lot to manage listening and poking around. So I'd encourage you to do that after. But here is the information. If we ever update the login information, we'll, let everyone know. We'll, send out an email or something like that. But here's the login information for you. Again, this presentation will be shared out. And if you ever, need to update it, we'll update this presentation so that if you always just save this link, it'll always be in there, even without logging in. So that leads me to a part that I'm going to try and speed through, since everyone here has probably been to some form of the brand presentation. The identity review here is just going to be a quick version. I've tried to sprinkle in a couple of Canva tips of how to use the brand in Canva. So hopefully not too boring. Let me know if I'm going too fast, or let me know if you want me to speed up. So here's the brand website. It's going to have everything that I'm talking about, today. Hopefully you won't need to access it, but if you do, here it is. So obviously this is the NC State logo. The biggest thing that I think is relevant for designing in Canva is the clear space rule. So make sure, you're not putting something right beside the logo, either the CALS logo or NC State logo, whenever you're putting it in a design. We only have the designs that they want us to use, so don't worry about that one. Minimum size is also important, but I haven't really seen a lot of super duper small or super huge ones. Usually this one's pretty well followed. So that's the logo. To access the logo in Canva, there's a couple of options. So we have this logos like tile, I guess is the word, that you can get all of the CALS logos on. We also have it, as you can see, in a folder below. So kind of just your personal preference. Here's some, written out directions of how to access them, but you can just drag and drop them in. The same thing as we start integrating, like, cooperative extension, we'll have all of those logos in there. And also, I'm sure it will load into the logos thing, but if not, you can always access it on the side. Here's our color palette. It's also in Canva. The way to get it is to go to the top toolbar. I'll show you this as we're in our demos, and it's got our core palette and our expanded palette. Again, this is part of a integrated brand feature. It's in the styles palette as well. Here's our typeface and a couple of type guidelines. So in Canva, we've actually uploaded the universe font, which doesn't have an E. Sorry, that's my bad. But we've uploaded the universe, we've uploaded Glypha. They're a little bit interesting to work with, and I'll show you how to manipulate them because they're uploaded fonts. Canva doesn't know necessarily what is the bold font, what is the italic font, but it just means that you have to manually select it instead of pushing the bold button. Nothing, too bad to work around. If you don't want to work around it or you forget how to, you can also always use Roboto. It's programmed in Canva and is obviously an open source font, so they know how to bold it, they know how to italicize it. Here's some general font rules.
Lee, and I have a quick question about department or unit logo lockups included.
Sure. Do you mean like if we're like cooperative extension, like if we're gonna upload those, or do you mean like are we gonna have like AGI or something like that, like those type of logos? Is that the I'm a little confused.
Jennifer, do you mind unmuting yourself to clarify?
Sorry.
Hey, yeah, I just had a question of whether or not all the department logos and any of the other CALS units would be uploaded into the logo files. You just showed the
Sure.
CALS one, and I was curious about others. And yeah, AGI actually would be a great question too.
Yeah, so as I said, I just bolded this instead of going back. But they might not be in like a logo thing, but they'll definitely be in, this is a folder right here, if you can see where my mouse is. We'll have folders for each of them. So I'll show you when we're actually in Canva and not in this presentation, how to go to the folders and have them all there. They're just not set up yet since, we're got a lot going on in CalsComm right now, but they will be integrated very soon. I have all of the files. It's just, uploading them all. But yeah, definitely everything that we have access to, we'll put in there. And if anything is missing, if you say, okay, well, everything looks to be uploaded, I don't see my department, shoot me an email, shoot me a chat on Google, and I'll have it in there as soon as possible. Any other questions about anything? All right, gonna move on. So accessing the fonts in Canva, like I said, our fonts are right here. They're also, again, as part of our brand kit, you can always click like add a heading and it will already be in our brand font. So you don't even have to worry about like changing things unless you're, getting a little more into the weeds of it. But yeah, they're all going to be right here and they're going to have it drop down. I'll show you how to do this bolding and italic. Icon library, all of the 96 icons are in there. The last update was on, 23rd last year. So as that's updated, we'll upload more in there. They're also, a nice feature about them is that they're SVGs. What that means is that you don't have to choose a different file to change the color. You can just change the color in Canva. So actually, I'll hop out of the presentation really quickly and kind of just show you that. It means that when I click it, if I wanted this one to be yellow, I can make it yellow without having to change anything. Generally, they're red or white, but you have the option to make them different colors. I would recommend sticking to red and white because it's on brand. But if you wanted to change this, to white, pretty easy in Canva. I'm just gonna advance this way. Again, accessing the icons, they're all on the side here. Just like, logos, fonts, colors, anything like that. Cool. So now we're gonna get to get into Canva. Is there any questions on the brand or anything I've reviewed thus far that I need to go into before we, actually get into Canva? All right, great. So here's our best practices slide. You can always refer to this. Because Canva does offer so many templates and not all of them are, the best, or not all of them accomplish our purposes. We recommend opting for simple, minimal, and clean templates. This is kind of a brand thing too. NC State's branding is very minimal. It's very simple, very clean. So try to go for those templates. If you don't accomplish that, you can't find one that you're like, that's really on brand or that's something I can really make. I'll show you kind of some tips and tricks of how to take a template that's not on brand or, not the best and turn it into something that can really work for you. An easy way to do that is to not only specify by like size. So let's say you're looking for an Instagram story template. You don't have to just say, okay, Instagram story templates. You can say, I'm looking for a poll or I'm looking for an event. And then, go from there. And that'll help you find a template that's a little bit more suited to your needs. Obviously, the first steps of changing anything is going to be changing the colors and the fonts to our brand, using our icons instead of ones that are already preloaded in there, and then adding your department logo or a CALS logo to the design when appropriate. You don't always have to do that for social media because they know it's coming from our accounts. All right, so now I'm gonna go to creating Instagram story. This is where it's gonna be a little bit more demo-y. So yeah, this is a design that I did for Day of Giving. And I'm gonna show you how to kind of turn this into something that's maybe not for Day of Giving. And then I'm gonna show you how to use some templates. So here's Canva. Here's its design. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to duplicate the page right here. And I think maybe one good thing, we can make this a graduation thank you. So to do that, I might change this icon trying to get to our folders. If they ever disappear, you can always go to more. And then you can find, you know, our folders. Let's see, our icons. And I know that there's an icon called graduate, so I can throw that in there. I really recommend the search bar. Great tip to not search through all 96 icons every single time. So I'm just going to throw that and resize it to be about the same size as this little confetti popper. As you can see, Canva has these like little grid lines that are really helpful. So I know that's centered. If I thought maybe it was centered here, but it's not, you can also always go to position, center it right there. If I want it in the middle of the page, it would bring it to the middle. I'm going to undo that. I'm just going to use Control Z. There's also, you know, undo buttons, but I'm a little bit more efficient. So here's some fonts. Let's say we wanted to say to our 2022 graduates.
Leanne, how do you find the Control Z, all of those different shortcuts? Is there a place on here that you can find them?
Yeah, so if you hover over something, Control Z is, yeah, it should show you if there's a shortcut. Control Z is just one in the design world, but you know, basically everything is undo is Control Z. But yeah, it's right here. If I wanted to redo something, so I'm trying to get it. Yeah, so if I wanted to redo something, you know, there's different shortcuts for that. But they should always show up on hover. That's really the only one I super use. There's also, if you hold down Shift, it'll let you, it's not going to work on the icon. I can show you on a photo if what holding down Shift does. I'm going to continue with this one, but we'll throw a photo in something else and I'll show you that. But yeah, all the shortcuts should just show up. Another pro tip, use Google. If you're like, I know there's a shortcut for this, I can't remember what it is. Type it in Google, that's what I always do. Yeah. So yeah, these are our text right here. So again, let's say I didn't want this to be bold. As you can see with the brand ones, the bold and italic functions are not there. What you would have to do is just go through right here and find it 55 Roman or 45 light usually, and then it would redo. There's also an option, it just came up, let me get it back. Canva, if you have, you know, this design, I have, so you see it, for making Day of Giving possible, that's the same font that it just was. So if I wanted to change all of it, I could click that and it would change everything. I'm going to undo that just because I don't want that, but it is an option if you're like, I want every single font to change to this. Yeah, so here's all of our fonts. Is there any questions about using these or, you know, changing fonts? I know it's kind of weird that it doesn't have the bold and italic option here. You have to do it manually, but they're all right here.
Would you say it one more time, how to change it all at the same time?
Sure. So you'll have to make at least one change organically by yourself. So if I wanted this to be Glypha instead of universe, it'll then come up and it will have a change all button.
Thank you. I missed that part.
No worries. So yeah, there it is. I just undid it just because I didn't want to change all. So yeah. And then let's say I'm just going to actually delete this whole thing. That's, you know, you can use the delete button or you can use this. And then instead of having this logo here, let's change it to one of our logos. So we can either go here to, you know, the logos thing, pop one in. That one is white, so you're not going to be able to see it. There we go. And then we can move that down. If again, it's a department logo, you'd either have to change brand kits. So we'd have like a cooperative extension brand kit here with the colors and the logos, or, you know, something like that. Or you would go to your folders and you could, you know, find, like, they're not loading here because they're not here, but you could search, you know, let's say if I wanted to find an AGI one, the AGI folder would then pop up and you can bring them in, just like if I search the CALS logo folder. No, it's not coming up. Okay, perfect. But it's in there. It would pop up theoretically if it was loading right now. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's how you can do it. Changing the colors of, like, I've got some background elements here is going to be the same thing. If I wanted all the white ones to be yellow, go like that. I don't really think that looks great. There's also a change all here. It's going to change kind of everything. So I wouldn't recommend doing that, but maybe in other designs, it would be an option. So
And there's a question about the Sackers Gothic font.
okay, what's the
I guess it was in the list.
yeah, so maybe these are up here are actual brand fonts. There are other fonts though that are on Canva. Like all of these are uploaded and are just in Canva's database. So they're here. I wouldn't recommend necessarily using them, but they are here just because obviously Canva has a bunch of fonts available. Does that answer your question? Hopefully.
Hey, no, my question was, it's in the list of, if you expand the brand kit fonts, it's in there. I just had never seen that one before and I wasn't sure if that was.
Okay, it shouldn't be in there. Our brand fonts are, again, like on the presentation, Universe, Glypha, and Roboto at this new one, but it shouldn't be. I'll amend that. Sorry, I didn't see that, but yeah, just stick to, I would say stick to Universe, Glypha. And then again, you can always use Arial and Roboto for like the open sans type of, or open source type of fonts. That would be my recommendation. Sorry about that. Any other questions? Cool. So that's a little bit of how you could customize like a template we already had. But of course, Canva has a ton of templates available for you. So I'm just going to look through maybe an event template. Let's see. It's a lot going on here. Maybe you have a speaker coming in and you want a speaker template. You could throw in any of these. I think you can also just click. I don't think you have to drag. I think you can just click and it will load to the page. And so a really easy way, you know, we could throw in a photo from our like stock photos. Let's say we have a photo of a speaker. This one's a student, but there's a speaker. And then we could take this and just, you know, make these our brand colors, our brand fonts. And we could say like their name. As you can see here, I've had a little bit of trouble with the text box not being big enough. So I've just expanded it like this. You can, you know, wrap as you need to. Again, if I want to make the font size smaller, do that there. And then you can always delete things that you're like, if I don't need that, I don't need that. Is there any?
I assume that those stock photos are only in the Canva if we log into the CALS Canva account, correct?
Correct. And
Okay.
we use stock photos loosely. They're more just like general photos in here that I've tried to upload for people if you don't, you know, have a bunch of assets for yours right now. They're pretty general ones that I think we've been using throughout the years. We'll try to keep them updated as best to our ability. But yeah, you can also always upload your own photos. My desktop is a little bit of a mess right now, but I'll show you how to do that. You need to drag stuff here. Upload media is another way to do it. So looks like I have some photos here. I could upload a photo right now and then drag it in there.
There was a question in the chat that said, do we need to give those photos credit?
For things, I think that's a case-by-case basis. So for example, like these photos, I think are by Mark and Becky, and like this one here is like an Instagram story. I don't think we usually credit in Instagram stories, but in like something like, you know, if you were making a magazine or something like that, I think there are cases for credit. I think that's a more depending on, you know, who the photographer is. So if you had like a freelance photographer, you'd obviously need to credit if they're not within NC State. I can investigate the when to and when not to. But usually when like in all the photos that we have uploaded, they should be safe to they should be by Mark and Becky, and they should be photos that are okay not to put like a caption or a credit on. I definitely wouldn't recommend like ever having a huge caption in an Instagram story posting like that for a photo, just because of the nature of the medium. I don't know how helpful that was, but if there's more specific questions, or if you ever have a question about a specific photo, I'm very accessible by chat, and you can be like, hey, wondering about this. Hopefully that is somewhat helpful. So yeah, that's how you upload photos. If you wanted to organize them, you could click the 3 dots on the right here, move to a folder, you know, our projects. Maybe I wanted to create a new folder if this was a, you know, specific department or something like that, but that's how you organize them. Yeah. Is there any questions about specific features like changing colors, adding elements, anything like that? Okay, cool. So I'm going to show you a different, that's an Instagram story, and that's kind of, oh, actually, I'll show you how to resize this. So that's a pro feature, and it's kind of like highlighting at me right now. That's right here in the top left corner. There are specific sizes already in here. So if I wanted to make it a Facebook post, I could just click this. There's 2 options, copy and resize, or just resize. If you just resize it, it's going to take this design and obviously just like do it here. If you copy and resize it, that's so you can maintain an Instagram story and also maintain a Facebook post. So, and then you can obviously put your own in if you have, you know, like for digital billboards, I sometimes use that feature. So we'll copy and resize it. It'll open in a new tab. And then we've got some stuff going on just because of how it was sized. I'm going to just kind of marquee drag here. I'm going to hold down Shift to select these that I've missed. And then we can kind of zoom out and make them a little bit bigger, move them around a bit so that no one knows that they are smaller than they need to be a little bit. I'm having one that's a little bit difficult. I'm just going to move that one independently. I'm going to undo it. That way I can move it where it doesn't mess up these margins. Sort of. And then, you know, I would just move other things. Again, it's giving me these awesome grid lines that I'm going to use to help size things evenly. And then I would just kind of up the font size, maybe move it where it's all on one line, things like that. So yeah, that's resizing. Are there any questions around resizing, making it a different template? It's something that I use a lot. I use it a lot, especially for Day of Giving, when we needed to post something on our Instagram and on our Twitter, and we want it to be, you know, pretty uniform. That's a great feature to do it. That way you don't have to completely copy and redo the design. No questions? Perfect. If you wanted to download it, you kind of saw this in the intro video, but you would just go to share here. If you wanted to share maybe something on ours with, you know, your personal Canva or vice versa, I did this to get this design in here. I made it on a different Canva. So when we were setting this one up, I wanted to have it in here. So I just used this link sharing right now. I just did anyone with the link because the link's not going to get out. You can also add people individually. So if I wanted to, you know, type in my email, I could do that and I could share it with my personal Canva. Any questions around sharing? Cool. And then this is how you would download. I could download it as a lot of things. I don't know why it's suggesting an MP4 video, but it is. I would do that maybe if I had added audio, excuse me. Let's say if this was like a Instagram story and you wanted to have audio behind it, you could add audio just from Canva to a still design. Then don't love that one. It's a balloon pop, probably not the best one. I will say for some of these, it may just be easier in Instagram to add, you know, music in Instagram. You have a little bit more control. That way you don't have to like choose right now and then download it and then see how it works and cut it. I like to do that within the social media, but maybe for Twitter, that's not an option. So you could add in your music here. And then I'm going to make it turned off right now just so I can talk over it, but you can kind of choose what part of the song right here just by sliding this. If we wanted it to be, I don't know, a little bit shorter, You can also do that. I believe it's with this function, but could be wrong there. It's not letting me. It may just have a 15-second function. There's a thing on video where you can shorten. It's not letting me do that here. It's just letting me click 15 seconds. And that could be because, again, like Instagram stories are limited to 15 seconds. So yeah, I'm gonna delete that right there. Oh, I know why it is. Sorry. You can edit the timing here. It's because I have 3 pages and each of them are 5 seconds. And that's why it's a 15-second video. So we could edit the timing right here if we wanted this to be a 20-second long Facebook video or Twitter video. I'll show you a little bit more video function on our video demo since it's kind of hard to do with a flat still design. But yeah, this is how you download it. You could also share it on social directly. You would have to link it there. But yeah, downloading, you can select by pages. I really like to do this. That way I can name them. If you wanted to name them, you can do it right here. So let's hop over to our video demo since I've kind of teased a little bit of those features. We also have, I think, like 2 to 3 video stock ones in here, but I really recommend using Canva stock ones. So as you can see, I created this video in maybe like 10 minutes using Canva. It's really simple. It's got some of our footage, some of Canva's footage, and then at the end here, a voiceover. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of show you how I did these. So this one is just like any other social post. It's a photo with a opaque box or transparent box, some text, and our logo. I've just dragged those in just like you would for a Twitter post, a Facebook post, an Instagram story. And I just did that by creating a blank one and then going to our photos, dragging it in. I want it to be full in the background. So instead of just putting it in the middle, Canva will snap it and will give us a background there. If you double click, just like I just did, you can move up and down, kind of select the focus of your photo. And then I went to elements, grabbed a square, kind of made it white to make it a little bit more transparent. We can put in a transparency of like 50, maybe a little bit more so we can read our text. This is a busier photo. And then just, pulled it where I wanted it to. Maybe I wanted it about that big. I'll position it in the center. And then we can just throw some text on top of it however we want to. It's 5 seconds long. Again, we can edit that here. If I wanted it to be a 30-second intro, wouldn't recommend that for a still image, but you can edit it as you want to. This footage is just from our uploads. It's going to be from our CALS videos folder. They're not loading because I think I uploaded them with my personal one and not this one here. So they're part of our shared team. So I'll edit that so that they're a little bit easier to access, where you don't have to go to folders and then share it with me and then all that. But I just, dragged it in. This one is actually a 40-second long clip. I wanted it to be like a 5-second long clip. To edit that, kind of just like in like a software like iMovie, you just drag and select and trim like that. I'm gonna undo that. That way we can keep our music. I just chose some music from Canva. So I went to audio. I pulled in whatever this clip is. I'll pull in a different one. That way you can see I did it. Just drop in your music. I've got 2 audio clips here. That's why it's doing this. But I want this one to start. Trim it just like you do a video. And then what I like to do for, intros and outros is go to the audio effects here and fade it in a little bit. This little triangle, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it'll do it when I'm zoomed in, but this little triangle right here will show you how far it's fading in. So for example, it gets quieter and it gets louder. You can also do that in between audio clips. So if I wanted to fade it out so that when I enter a new song, it gets a little bit quieter and then the new song fades in, I can do that as well. You can also adjust the volume of it. That's really nice for, that's not what I want. That's really nice for when you have voiceovers. So for example, this voiceover here, we have an interview, and we want to hear her obviously over the background of the music. So what I've done with that is I've went to the volume button here and I've just kind of lowered it down so that it's not blaring at full volume. Probably shouldn't do 100 just because we're on Zoom. I don't want to hurt anyone's ears, but you can just, you know, I can't hear her right now. If I lower it, maybe back down to like 5 or 6, you can hear her talking a little bit more. This video isn't the best one to demonstrate it just because the audio needs to be cleaned up a little bit, made a little bit louder. But if you have a voiceover video and you need to put that behind there, easy enough to do it. Any questions on videos, anything like that, audio, anything related to that I've went over?
And do you find this to be a lot easier than using like an Adobe video program?
I think it depends on how you're approaching it. For me, it's a little bit harder just because I have experience with things like After Effects and Premiere. And I know for me, getting into Canva was really difficult because, again, some of the things that I knew from Adobe, I was like, where is this feature? I can't find it. But I would say if you're the reverse and you're like, I don't have any of that experience, like, I don't know how to use the Adobe ones at all, they're really hard for me. I think Canva is a great jumping in point to say, you know, here's a little bit more accessible. They make it easy for you, where I feel like Adobe doesn't. They just kind of throw you into the deep end. Canva kind of gives you, you know, like, it'll show you this is how to do it. Canva also has a lot of tutorials around it. So if you have a specific question like, oh, I forgot how to make the audio quieter, they have a tutorial on their YouTube. You can Google it. They have a help center. They have a lot of resources and a lot of learning tools to make it easy for you. I think if I was doing like a quick 30-second video and I had all my assets uploaded to Canva, or I needed to create like an intro like this, I would do it. Not necessarily every video. I think definitely some longer videos with some higher production value, I would either, you know, submit a project request for probably, or, you know, source that out to like an Adobe thing. But I think for quick wins, for social stuff, it's really great. And it's really great if you just want to, you know, get into a little bit of video editing, play around a little bit, test your skills out. I think it's great for that. I also think that the assets that they have are great. So they have like this tree video right here. It's not one of our videos. I just searched probably like, I don't know, tree video and went into here and pulled in something from Canva. All of their stuff, licensing wise, is free for commercial and non-commercial use. So you don't, it's just like Unsplash. It's kind of stock footage that is free for you. So I think it's really great for stuff like that, where if I was like, I really need some type of video of someone planting or something like that, and you don't have that resource, I think it's good to use those. I would caution on completely using stuff like that, just because other people are using it. You don't want it to be like, you know, oh, all the time we're using stuff that isn't ours. I like to have a healthy balance, but there are those resources if you need them for you. And as you can see, a lot of them are pro. So if you don't have a pro account, definitely utilize our account for that.
How hard is it to put a already created PowerPoint and make a PowerPoint presentation in Canva?
Yeah, so I do believe there are functions where you can upload like a Google Slides or a PowerPoint in there. I haven't actually done that before. I will say that one of the things we offer as part of our brands is we've created a template. It's like giving me a Canva tour. We do have a template in here of PowerPoint, you know, slides that are accessible for you. I'm kind of skipping ahead in our presentation a little bit, but it has a bunch of, I don't know, slides content that you might need. I can definitely look into and definitely work with you one-on-one to figure out how to do that. I know it's an option to upload slides into Canva. I don't know if it's an option to like download something from Canva and put it into slides. I think it is. I don't know how it exactly it embeds, how, you know, interchangeable it is, but it's something that we can definitely explore. I've found a little bit in my research preparing for this presentation. And also Canva has some great like tools while presenting. So yeah, maybe an option to present in Canva, just like I'm doing today. Any other questions before we move on?
Leanne, is that what you're presenting in Canva? If I wanted to find a blank one, would it just be under, is it under a template? Because I haven't used it at all that way.
This one here, or like the
No,
other
just
content?
in general. Like,
In
so
general,
if I
sure.
didn't go for that one, yeah.
Sure. So like this one right here is one of our brand templates that I've created. This one here is one that I've appropriated and made. So what you would do is go to the home screen, kind of just like in the video that it showed you, you could go to presentation.
Gotcha.
And these are just a few options. Canva has a huge breadth of like anything you could want. They probably have a template for it. But yeah, here are some of the presentation templates, just a quick glance. They have also these like video ones, because one option with Canva is that you can record, present, and then it'll save it as a video. It's kind of cool. Haven't used it before. Could have definitely used it like during college, especially with COVID. But yeah, so these will all just create just like any other design you can populate, and then you can go in and, you know, edit the elements to be our brand elements.
That's great. That's new to me. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an awesome feature. Like I said, I used it for this presentation, just, you know, to kind of see all that Canva can do. It is a really powerful software, and it has, like I said, a ton of these templates. Kind of can get overwhelmed just searching through all of the stuff that they have. But yeah, hope that's helpful. Any other questions on demo stuff before we move on to a little bit more of utilizing this for social? Perfect. All right. So I'm now going to hand it over to Adrienne, and she's going to tell you all of the things that Canva can do with social media.
Hi, everyone. And I see we have a question. Yes, so this will absolutely be shared. Janine is going to send this out to everyone. And then if not, how do I access the NC State templates if I log in from the paid account? Yes, so the presentation, we talked about that in the beginning, and we have the login information. So the email that everyone can use, as well as the password. So you'll be able to log in as soon as, you know, we send this out. It'll be available for everyone. So yeah, we're going to jump right into how to use the templates that Leanne just described, how to utilize those for social media. So here are a few tips. One in particular that I like to use for the CALS Instagram story is using the templates to tell a story or drive traffic back to your website. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with all of the Instagram features, but Instagram has implemented some new ways to click a link within the story to go back to the website or different things like that. But one way in particular that I like to amplify a story is to kind of tease bits and pieces of an article. For example, we had a story about the science behind the redbud flamethrower, sorry. And what I did was I created a template, of course, added the brand colors, inserted one of the pictures from the story itself, and just kind of gave like a little blurb. And I did maybe 3 Instagram stories where people could tap through to read some of it, but not give away too much. And, you know, that'll make your followers want to read more. So from there, they're going to want to go to your website and check out more of the story. And now Instagram has a link in story feature. So maybe on that last slide, what you could do is click on add that sticker that says read more. So once you've teased some of the story, you can say read more of this story on our website or learn more. But yeah, you can share portions of the story, fun facts, or you can pull out different quotes. One thing that I did for Day of Giving, we highlighted one student basically on how Day of Giving and how the donors kind of helped her in her education with the scholarships, with the different scholarships. So what I did was pulled out a quote on that particular story, used the Instagram story template. I inserted her picture, and then I pulled out a quote, and then I said, you know, learn more about Day of Giving, just popped in like a little link like that. And you don't always have to use Instagram templates. You can definitely just insert a picture or something like that. But I just think it's a cleaner way to promote different stories and different things that you have going on. All right, next is with the Facebook and Twitter graphics. I know Leanne touched a little bit on that, just more in depth on how to use those. Facebook and Twitter graphics are a great way to make announcements. Some examples include save the dates. To the left, we have an example of just like a quick graphic, just saying you're invited to the dedication ceremony for the plant sciences building. It's very clean, very straight to the point. We also had a save the date graphic that was for an Instagram story. And so we utilized those just to let everybody know what was coming up. We didn't put in a whole lot of crowded details, just straight to the point. Also, invitations are a good tool, and reminders. If you want to remind people, hey, we're only 2 days away from this event, you can do countdowns as well. That is something that we also utilized as we were leading up to this event. And then just a rule of thumb on Instagram, it's best to use imagery and photos on the feed. So let's say you have an event coming up and you want to let everyone know about it. I wouldn't put a lot of graphics or flyers on the Instagram feed just because of visually, if you look on your profile and your profile is just covered in flyers, it's just visually, I would stay away from that. I would utilize flyers and save the dates for the Instagram story. But definitely for a Facebook and Instagram, you could use flyers or like graphics. Those are the best places to use those. But try to stay away from using a lot of graphics on your actual Instagram feed. Try to just utilize that in the Instagram story. And then also make sure you are using the appropriate graphic for the appropriate social media platform. So I wouldn't put an Instagram story graphic on the Instagram feed. It's formatted and sized for particular dimensions. And I wouldn't put a Twitter graphic on an Instagram story or a Twitter graphic on a Facebook feed. You can kind of tell the difference, and they are formatted for their platform. And then just some additional social media tips. You can create event calendars. So let's say you have something coming up. I know the university has Red and White Week or CALS Tailgate, or just something in your department that's coming up, and it's a day by day. You have something each day coming up. Maybe you have a speaker one day, or maybe you have a meet and greet one day, or something for the students one day, like a week long of events. You can have an event calendar that lists what's coming up during the week. And that's a great tool to use for the Instagram story. So Instagram stories on Canva, there are some templates for listing multiple dates. So that is a good tool to use as well. And then infographics. Let's say you don't want to just tell people, read about this story and learn more, or you don't want to just throw in a picture in your Instagram story. A great way to just kind of engage your users on your platform is to create an infographic. Canva has a lot of templates for infographics. You can definitely change out the pictures. You can change out the icons if you want to utilize some of the icons that Leanne mentioned, just whatever fits the facts and data that you are trying to present for your research topic or story. That is an additional way to kind of spruce up your social media content. And then reviews. So Canva also offers templates for reviews or quotes. Let's say you had a student participate in a workshop, or you hosted a course outside of your normal day-to-day things, or just something within the department, and you had a lot of good feedback. And let's say you're trying to get more participants for the following course or the following year. Let's highlight a quote. If somebody had a really good time in that course, or they really love something about the department, you can create a Twitter or Facebook graphic sharing like a review or a quote. And Canva has tons of options just for like quotes and reviews, 5 stars. So stuff like that is available too. And that wraps up the social media portion of it. But if you have any other questions on how to, just step out of the box and utilize Canva more for social media, definitely just email me, or I can go over some things with you.
Yeah, thank you, Adrienne. I always love seeing everything Adrienne creates. I'm always like, oh, so fun. So props to her. She's a great resource as well. And some other resources, I've kind of already previewed some of this, but we have brand templates loaded in there for you. So here are some of them. I'm going to be working on a couple more. I'd like to have a newsletter and a flyer loaded in there for people to use. As you can see, we've had our 100+ stock photos. I'm also going to plug Canva's own resources. Like I said, whenever I have a question about Canva, and I do sometimes, especially like when I'm using a new, like if I'm making a presentation, I've never made a presentation before. I love to go on their YouTube or their design school and kind of just poke around, see what features are there that I don't even know are there. So definitely I would totally utilize that as you're making things with Canva. Another thing that I think would be helpful, just because I know that so much of Canva is case by case. So for example, like how do we load the brand things into our Canva? I'm gonna hold like 15-minute time slots just for a couple, for 2 Fridays. If you want me to hop into your Canva, if you want me to download things specifically for you, that way, if you want me to look at a presentation you've made, we can kind of do a little bit of that work. I always find after these, I'm always like, oh, I need to email whoever, that way I can set something up. I never do because, life gets so busy. So if you wanted, those are like appointment slots, they're 15 minutes, no pressure to stay for the whole 15 minutes. If we need more time, we can work together at that. But that way they'll just, have a thing. It should be linked when you click on it. If not, it'll be in the follow-up, just like everything on this presentation. So use those resources. If you need anything else from CalsComm, give us a shout. We're here to help you and here to make everything that you create for your audiences amazing. So that kind of wraps up our portion. We still have a little bit of time, I believe. So if you want to ask some questions, now's your time. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everyone's faces.
Thanks so much, Leanne. Thanks so much, Adrienne. I think Adrienne has to hop off. So a round of applause for her. We're in the process of working on what might be our topic for next month, because we were hoping on featuring somebody from the university level of OIED and talking about communicating inclusively, but the person has left the university. So I'm a bit of a scramble. So if you have ideas, let me know, hopefully today or tomorrow. Any questions for Leanne?
Leanne, could you put your email in the chat again, please?
Sure. And I see a lot of like, can I sign up for that? It will definitely be there. If those sessions fill up, my Fridays are usually pretty free, especially my Friday mornings. I'm happy to add a couple of more slots to those. Can you talk more about using bullets? Sure. I will say one thing that I've experienced with bullet points is that sometimes Canva, I want to customize them to the brand. So a great example is in the presentation one. Let me pull that up. Oop, I just had it and I clicked away from it. Perfect. Where'd it go? Here it is. So for example, in the presentation one, I have in here, trying to find the specific slide. Yeah, so I have these, and these actually aren't bullet pointed. Canva has this little feature right here. It's a little bit limiting, especially if you've used like Google Slides before, in my opinion, where you can, put things in a bulleted list or put things in a numbered list. That only did that one because I had just here selected, but if you click one more time, it'll transform into numbers. If you don't want your spaces, you can do, I'm pretty sure, oops, I'm clicking as I'm talking. Return shift should do it. It may not. It's going to restart my numbering. It's a little bit limiting, and I feel like with the brand, I usually like to see these little carrots, so that's why I've loaded those in there. You just gotta have to play with it a little bit with these. If you wanted to use these, they're just elements, so you can copy them. I'm clicking Control right now on my keyboard, and that's going to show you the copy and paste ones. A little design trick that I always use: if you hold down Option or Alt if you're on a Windows. You can just drag away from there as you're holding down Option, or you can, again, copy and paste them. And then Canva will help you. Let's say this was a new line, will help you align them if you're using like a custom bullet point. Any other, you can definitely unmute if there's anything else you want to talk about related to bullets that I didn't just cover. But yeah, I find it a little bit limiting. I'm not going to lie. I wish Canva had an option to load this one as a bullet and then just do it itself. But yeah, it does have the list function right here, and you can click through.
Leanne, best practices with using a variety of colors. That was a question.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I'm going to refer a little bit to what they say in the brand training. They're going to have a little bit more guidelines with color. What I personally would say is that sometimes, especially with the expanded palette, they're very like, when you use them all together, they can kind of look a little like Candyland, or a little bit like, kindergarten classroom, like they're great colors, but when they're all together, they get, they don't necessarily say NC State all the time. The rule of thumb is, usually using a couple of colors, like 2 to 3, that sometimes may even be stretching it. But like you see for this presentation, and for most of NC State's assets, red is always the big color, the one that you want to have most prominent. I actually think that's in our brand guidelines. But if you wanted to, like, sometimes when I use a photo, so let's say this photo here, you don't always have to use red. One thing I like to do, and I try not to do all the time, but I try to, like, maybe I want to use, I was trying to get that to load, but it kept doing the text box. A green text box would be nice behind this here, or, I've done some digital billboards with one color. I would just say you want to stick to probably like a maximum of 2 to 3 colors. It really depends on what you're designing for. But yeah, I wouldn't go crazy with every single color and every single design. If that's helpful. I do also think that the brand guidelines have a little bit more on that of what they really want. But I know it's not using every single color all the time, or using the expanded palette, or even the shades and tints that they have. So yeah, hope that's helpful. I hope I didn't confuse
Something
you there.
I only learned last year was they still want on most pieces the primary color to be red. Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
like they want at least 1/3, probably 2/3 of the color to be red.
Yeah. And that's, again, I would say that echoes our brand, in that it's very minimal, it's very sleek. And obviously Wolfpack Red shows, it's immediately that's NC State, just like Carolina Blue is immediately Chapel Hill. So that's why they want that. But I have on posters and other things like that, we don't always use red, because sometimes, especially when you're doing a lot of projects, red can be, it's always NC State, and sometimes it's nice to have something that'll differentiate us on a poster or something like that.
Hey,
yeah.
Leanne,
Sure.
can we go ahead and put in a request now for a whole folder of 4-H, because we have a whole different regulations for 4-H and colors and all the things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that's the same as well with like cooperative extension. I think a action item for me after this is getting all of our department logos in there, our other branding. But with Canva, what will be nice is that obviously right now we just have the CALS brand, and that goes with the NC State colors. All of those colors, like for 4-H or cooperative extension or anyone else who has a different color palette, those will be loaded in there, so that you won't have to guess. It'll be there.